Welcome back to the GSL Global Tournament. I am Wolf, joined by Brendan today, and we've already seen a fairly one-sided match today between our Korean representative and our representative from North America. Now going into a Protoss versus Terran, Europe versus Korea, and I feel like Maru might be a bit vulnerable to some cheeses, but otherwise he is going to crush San here.
Yeah, we saw one Korean representative take it to Oz, and Oz really, to be honest, did not look like he had any chance against Su. Su didn't even look like he was playing all that hard, but still took it to Oz. Now I feel like we're going to see something similar. I feel like San will have a little bit of a better chance against Maru, but Maru is also, I feel like, a little bit of a better player than Su, just slightly.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's also going to be close in that facet as well. Maru, you know, we talked about this before, you know, San, a very big cheeser, and Maru showing some weakness to that, so we could see some of that.
What I'm hoping to see is also if Maru wins this, we get to see Maru versus Su, which is a question of, like, what would have happened if Maru beat Life and then ended up facing against Su? Like, how would things have been different in the GSL finals? We could have had a Zest versus Maru finals, maybe. It's hard to say. Let's introduce these two players. Starting things off with Yaoi Flash Wolf San. In Wings of Liberty, this guy earned 20K, and in Heart of the Swarm, things got a little bit better for everybody in general in Starcraft 2 esports. Prize money going up all around the board, so he's earned 32. And, of course, he comes here off of his spot in WCS Europe, Season 1 for 2014. He's ranked 3rd in WCS points, so we might be seeing this guy in BlizzCon. He's also, of course, playing in the European region. So this guy is good. Was a long-time name in the early GSLs back in 2010, 2011. He was quite famous. He was most famous for being called the Whack-A-Mole Protoss because he just kept putting up bases. He was he made like his PvT career off of the Kyridan amulet, where he would just warp in side storms.
I was going to say the same exact thing. You know, with the guys who have joined StarCraft 2 a little bit late won't even know the name of that upgrade or what it does, but it basically gave energy enough to the High Templars. It was an upgrade that, if you got it, it gave enough energy to the High Templars right when he warped in to have a storm. Yep. And he would just make bases and defend with that. But over here we have Maru, the Prince of Marines, or the Marine Prince rather, and the last hope for Terran. He was called being the last Terran in the GSL. Unfortunately, falling in the round of 8, and he's made a significant sum of money so far in the Heart of Swarm.
Yeah, you get this, like, what, 3K in Wings of Liberty? Yeah. I mean, not a huge successful career to this guy. He was one of the biggest cheesers, biggest all-inners back in the day.
He's come so far, man.
Yeah, he's come so far since when he beat Sella in the GSL Open Season 1. Yeah. Well, Overgrowth is our map here. I feel like there is a bit of vulnerability here in Maru's play to Blink Stalker all-ins, maybe something like a DT drop or even a Void Ray all-in could catch him off guard. Something that, anything that we don't see in Korea or see in Pro League often that San does could be the right choice here. Trying to take a 3rd base against Maru, that is absolutely not the right choice.
I feel like if San goes for something like that, something standard here, he is going to get crushed. But if he does something that Maru is not used to and does a cheese that Maru has shown weakness to before, he could possibly take a game.
It could happen. Maru gets here off of not dropping a single set here in the GSL Global Tournament. We'll see if San can change that right now. This is Group B of the round of 8. I'm Wolf. With me is Brendan. Let's jump into Overgrowth.
Up here in the top right, in the green for Yaoi Flash Wolf, he is
Yaoi Flash Wolf San.
San, the word for mountain in Korea.
Yeah. Called him Man Zenith back in the day. Some people incorrectly pronounce his name San. He's up against this player,
GNL Green Wings Maru.
The Marine Prince, as you noted before, an OSL champion, the best Terran player in the world, and he plays without shoes.
He does. He always plays after he takes his shoes off, and then after he crushes a nerd, he just puts his shoes back on.
He just puts his shoes back on.
As if he just crushed a bug without his shoes, and then he needs to put them back on.
It's like he took his flip-flop off and smacked the bug on the wall, and he puts his flip-flop back on. He's not even worried about the bug's guts on the bottom of it because he's a man. He's not concerned about such things.
He doesn't have time for that.
He doesn't have time to wipe the bottom of his foot.
He has to play more StarCraft.
Yeah. In fact, actually, he needs to go out and get a soda or something, because if he were playing StarCraft, he wouldn't even put the shoe back on. Because he's starting to play a StarCraft match. He doesn't play StarCraft with shoes on. He doesn't need that equipment on his foot to play this game. Well, you see a fast scout here for San. Doesn't check for proxies, oddly enough. This is actually a pretty commonly proxied map, and Maru is probably proxied on the ladder more than any other player in the world, so got to be concerned about that. But comes over here, checks in the main base, and sees it. It's just a very standard Reaper expand.
Yep. I like the set on Maru. I feel like if he wins one game, Maru would be the guy to go for, you know, double barracks on 11 or something in the next game, but in the first starting game, I feel like he just wants to play safe, get an idea of what San is going to do to him with this Reaper, and just make sure that he doesn't get caught off guard by anything.
Now, if San's lost to players like 4GG and Daishi in this matchup, and also losing to MMA, who played a decent TPP series yesterday. When you look at Maru's stats recently, not as impressive as someone like TY in the matchup, but he beat Billowy, Tails, and Emotion, losing only to Super and Hero, players who have shown some crazy strats in those matches. But Maru obviously much more games versus Protoss overall, and the much better win rate, and the much better opponents, I would say.
Yep, definitely. He also probably is practicing a bit more than San is, and he's definitely very well practiced for this game coming up here. So far, like we said before, he has to be careful about the cheesiness of San, sending out the Reaper to scout every single location for proxies. It's very smart to go for a build like this, I feel, in the first game.
Yeah. He's going into triple barracks here, and with that, he's going to be able to do a lot of pressure. And I said before, I feel it would be a grave mistake, possibly a fatal mistake, for San to try to take a third base against this player. Because some of the best Protosses that we have in Pro League have tried to do that and failed against this player. And San comes from a different region here. The Reaper does come out, or come in. Oh, nice! Wow. That is a nice catch. I'm pretty sure he still saw the Twilight Council, but still, that is a nice catch. That's something you never expect to see, and it usually doesn't work. But in this case, even if it missed, it's like, well, you lose a little bit of mining time, but in this, the actual capture of the Reaper means no further scouting. So it could be DTs, it could be Blink, he doesn't know.
And that's going to be hard for him. Like, he has to make a decision now. Does he go for a scan that could possibly miss a possible DT, you know, a Dark Shrine there, or does he just sit back and try to put up a turret and play defensive? Because if he does that, then San could possibly get ahead and take a third base, but it seems like he's going to go for the scan. He sees the Chrono Boost on the Twilight Council, so is going to be expecting Blink.
Also sees the additional gates going down. Now, how does San resume from here? Because he can either try to take a third base, fake Maru out, or try to kill Maru. And with this pylon placement here, at least he's going to put a little bit more direct pressure on with these Stalkers. He has to deal with the attack that's coming down his way first. The style that we're seeing from Maru right now is one way to poke and pressure somebody who's going Blink Stalkers, because they need a little bit more time before the Stalkers become effective. And if you have 3 barracks and a few Marauders, Science get a lot done with that. Oh, even spots this probe, so no more further pylons will be added at this point.
There's enough energy on that to put down the Photon Overcharge, but Maru actually committing heavily to this, trying to get a bunch of these workers. Does kill 5, is trying to ping down the Stalker as well, but he's not going to get it. Gets a couple more probes there. That was a bit of a mistake by San to send them back so early.
Maru doesn't seem concerned about the Blink. He's obviously going up against a Dark Shrine 2 and probably a DT drop follow-up. But he traded a lot of units there, which gives San this opportunity to have a rush, a wave of units coming across here with Blink before Maru is ready. Mothership Core is nowhere to be seen, so he has to attack from the low ground, poke again at these Marines. Good micro here. The Warp Prism will give him so much utility because it's also going to grant vision on the high ground.
Starts a forward cheer as well. I feel like he may start +1, but I think he's going to attack before then. But we'll see. Starts a bunker on the high ground as Maru. He has to be safe against this. I'm not sure if he's going to be expecting the DT follow-up here, but he's got to be careful. He's got to save some of those scans just in case, because he knows it's a possibility.
It has to start off to be quite a funny game. Warp Prism's headed in here, and Maru, like I said, he's died to DT drops before. Okay, turret at the front. We'll see if he drops the mule. There isn't an SCV over here to spot the Warp Prism. There are already 2 DTs here, so there's no warp in time. And he is just transitioning into Colossi. He's basically gone down every tech path in the book on one base here. All right, DT's split up now. He sends his units home, even stimming a little bit here. And he has a scan on that main command center, it looks like.
Yep, he has saved the energy, so he knows that this is a possibility. And he's got to be careful. He is going to get that one. But nice job by San splitting it up. He's going to be forced to use another scan here.
Yeah, and I think he has one. Oh, actually, just stim it to try to get the Warp Prism.
Oh, doesn't get it, but is going to get the second DT.
Not the best targeting by that DT. You could actually maybe have killed 2 more Marines there. If you right-click, shift-click on the Marines, they'll one-shot them before combat shields are done. But as it is, he has the second turret up now. Probably not going to see any more damage done by DTs. They might be used defensively against drops, but otherwise their role here is over.
2 Vikings also coming out here. He wants to take down this Warp Prism, just in case, you know, later on in the game, Zealot drops could also be a bit painful and a bit annoying for the Terran player. So wants to get rid of that as well. Going to go straight into medevac production right afterwards.
Also killed that Observer in the main base. San's in a weird place right now because he has a decent probe count, but his army is a bit weaker. He has all pieces of tech, but that's hurt his army size considerably. Especially, you know, even the DTs that he added. That's a lot of gas spent, which means that even though he teched the Colossi, he can't afford any Colossi just yet. He's just now starting those. So for him to try to take a third base right now would be tough. You know, I said earlier, I think trying to take a third base against Maru would be a mistake. But how the game has gone here, now he has no choice. He's done some damage, but yeah, there's no transition point here to all in off of 2 bases against what Maru has right now. So he does have to take that third Nexus, and he has to do so as carefully as possible.
That's a good point. And I feel like part of that is, you know, San hoping for a bit more damage to come in here, but also Maru's great defense. He knew that the DTs were going to come in there. He saved the energy on there for the scans. Was not going to get caught off guard. Was safe at the front with just 1 turret, and then had the scans saved up for the main base and successfully defended it pretty easily here. And now he's got a sizable army. The combat shields are about to finish, and +1 is done.
Big stem here. Gets a Stalker, but that's a lot of AoE damage done to that Terran army. It isn't really going to pay off just yet. He's got those medevacs over there to help. And this pylon will actually be cleared, so no more run-bys over here. Almost supply blocking San, but he has a few extra pylons queued up. I'm liking San's Blink Stalker micro. He's always trying to pick something off and then blinking away, never overextending himself. Charge is almost done, and with the +2 armor finishing up here as well, I think that's his moment to take the third base. As you can see now on the mini-map, he is trying for it. And it's going to be hard for Maru to really punish in heavy-handed. He might be able to try to split up some of the Protoss army by doing drops. I think that's his best shot at this third Nexus because he's not showing us that Widowmine style. And, you know, his army is pretty blunt force with all these Marauders in it.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Especially with the way the map is laid out here. You see that San did not go for the base that's nearer to his main. He went for the one that's far over to the west. So he could just send this Dune drop into the main base and attack at the third base at the same time and keep the army of San very split up. And that's what it seems he wants to do here.
I mean, you can see he has a few Widow Mines in his army, right? But they're not with this third base location army. They're in some of these drops. So he's planning on using the Widow Mines, at least initially here, to do some damage in the main and fight against the Zealots here. He's going to drop those down at the back. Feedback's going down on some of those drops, but how good are the Widow Mine shots? Good enough to help clear up these Zealots, and with no Zealots left, he can fight the Stalkers. Does he choose to do so under overcharge? That's the question. Meanwhile, he's attacking at the natural. This is not what San expected. He had a defense set up at the third base. A reasonable expectation there, but it's the natural that's under attack. He does save the natural with 48 hit points. Will he kill that medevac? Not quite.
You know, I feel like that was a decent idea out of Maru, but he just lost a lot of units to try to focus on that Nexus for not getting much in return. He did take a nice fight in the main base, but besides that, losing a lot of units there. San defending decently well.
I think he committed too much to the natural. He got greedy. What happened in the main base wasn't a big success, but it wasn't a failure either. It was something where he could just fall back and say, ah, well, lost some units, but did some damage. The Widow Mines are actually still here, so that is going to help clean up these Zealots. Good splits by San, but San's counterattack might be fatal. There are 6 Vikings to the 3 Colossi, and he does have some Widow Mines at home. Let's see how good his splitting is. So far, so good, and the Zealots getting a bit ahead of themselves here.
Yeah, the army of San is not together right now. The Zealots just split so far away from the Colossi. The Colossi getting no shots off. And Maru just continuing with this attack. He's going to get that natural Nexus now. And he still has these 2 Widow Mines.
No!
Oh my god.
Oh, that was almost really, really bad. It was still... Okay, it was almost really, 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 really bad. It was still really bad.
Yeah.
7 kills instead of perhaps like 15 that he could have gotten. Had the Widow Mines gone off just a little bit worse there for San.
But this is what Maru's going to do. He's going to have a huge push at his front base and be totally back, but at the same time he's going to keep these drops doing tons of damage at the base of San.
San really needs to make something happen here, of course, because he's lost his natural. He does only on 2 mining bases. There's a bunker here and a ton of Marauders, 26 Marauders in this army. Needs those Vikings to be firing. Good Guardian Shield here, but the wall and those SCVs at the front making the Zealots not really get a whole lot done. He's going for a flank here with these medevacs to maybe try to snipe the Colossi.
Colossi now not firing. A big portion of this bio actually survives, and San backing off a bit, trying to get more warp-ins. The wall is now down. A lot of SCVs going down for the tank that he's not going to have in this part of the fight.
And the upgrades for San are so much better here, and he's also got that Nexus really starting to complete back at home, and the fact that he lost it is no longer relevant here because his command center isn't mining. Archon's here at the front, so many Amaru's units are low, and it looks like San will actually break through here at this point. Great Colossus Micro pulling it back in the last second, and that's it. GG, San takes an upset here in game number 1. Maru getting a bit greedy with some of his drops, but I have to say San's transition from one piece of his tech to another was very, very smooth, going from the Blink Stalkers to the DT drop, then into the Colossus tech, taking a somewhat safe third base, and being totally ready for Maru's drops. If Maru attacked at the third base, he would have been met with heavy resistance. He attacks at the natural, which is a smart choice, but then commits so heavily that he loses his entire army, doesn't get the Nexus. Yes, he gets it later, but he doesn't get the value out of that army that he really wanted.
I have to hand it to San there. He seems like he studied Maru's play very, very well. He was very, not cheesy in the beginning, but he was very aggressive, trying to do different tactics to get Maru off guard. And then once Maru got the game in his hand, he started to do attacks, and San just played so defensive and let Maru do it, and defended, and then once Maru went too far, San was like, all right, this is my chance. I have enough Colossi. 5 is here. I know he doesn't have a lot of Vikings in the air. He's lost a lot of medevacs. He had to remake those. Now I'm going to go for my attack. And Maru just didn't have enough.
Yeah, not enough at all. I'm impressed with San. Definitely studying his opponent here. Maru picks Merry-Go-Round as the 3-player map for our game number 2. Going to be choosing any 2-player maps and not picking a map that's too big. This map is somewhat large. Or shaking his hands, getting warmed up, getting ready here.
Wants to take San down to the playground.
Oh, yes, he does. Map he's chosen. Players are both in the lobby now. Tensions are high here. It would be a pretty big upset if San's able to beat Maru. Remember, this is a match 4 years in the making, this rematch that these two are doing. Last time San was able to win it, but a lot has changed since then. Maru has become the best Terran player in the world that we have, and San's representing a completely different region. Can San complete the upset and take a 2-0 here, or is the Marine Prince going to tie things up on his map pick? Let's find out right now. This is the GSL